Over the last few seasons, a weakness in the BashBots judging criteria has been exposed: the damage category. It was a category purely for spinners, to the point where they were guaranteed to win it against a non-spinner. And if two non-spinners fought, it was basically a coin toss for who will win the category. However, with damage gone, and in its place effectiveness, it now offers a level playing field for all weapon types. If you deal damage with your spinner, that earns you points. If you flip with your flipper, that earns you points. If the purpose of your robot is to hold on to your opponents and control them, that also earns you points. Now, of course, the judges can't get their decision right every time, but this is still a massive step in the right direction.
Hello everybody and welcome back to BashBots. I am your host, the Dominus Ignis, and alongside me is our match analyst, the Dan Beaver. After our 5 spectacular fights from last time out, we are back with returning robots and rookies alike, looking for their first win of the season.
For tonight's robots, their fight to the top begins now. As I explained the last time, they will get up to 4 fights to prove their worth inside the BashBots, hoping to make it into the top 16 and hoping to raise our famous giant wrench at the end of the tournament. So let's not waste any time and take a look at that beautiful fight card.
We have 5 more robot crunching fights lined up for you tonight. Starting off the night, Gumdrops makes its debut inside the BashBots. They will be taking on their heavily armoured Dynamite, looking to start the season off with a bang. After that, it's a Song of Fire and Ice, as Firewave and Glacier both look to take their first win. The Midway Major will see the Season 1 champion Sparks take on the dual spinners of Twinser, making their first proper appearance on the show. After that, returning second place finisher Cosmo takes on the undercutter of Starfire. And for the main event tonight, it's a battle of the blue flippers as Claymore and Tracker return to the BashBots. Let's get into our first fight of the night. So first fight is Gumdrops versus Dynamite, and I'm gonna have to go with Gumdrops here. A collaboration between Evil Toaster, who built Manticore in seasons 2 and 3, as well as Jolyu, who made Wave Ripper back in season 3. This robot has had quite a bit of success outside of BashBots, which I feel it'll quite easily replicate in this tournament. And a lot of builders agree with me, saying that it could be a dark horse for this tournament.
Dynamite is actually the only 4-bar flipper left in this competition, which means it's a quantity that very few people will think that they actually need to be prepared for, and it's very possible that Gumdrops may be among them. Not to mention, Grim has since revived Dynamite's design with a far sturdier setup, and the drive is just so much better, it's unreal. As well as that, he has quite a bit of experience with Dynamite, as it made it to the round of 32 last season, which is nothing to sneeze at all. I think Dynamite has this, although it's definitely a close one, I can't deny that.
I really want to see the opening fight of the night, so let's head on down to the arena.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? It's robot fighting time! Let's bring out the bots! In the red square from the United States, it's straight from the packaging of a Japanese jelly snack, it's Gumdrops! In the blue square, from the United Kingdom, it's 100% guaranteed to end up in the pit at some point, introducing Dynamite!
My strategy is the robot, it flips, and I don't like being flipped, so I'm going to hit him. Wait, give me a second. Well, yeah, anyways, I just plan on winning.
Now, I'm up against a frog. Have you ever seen a frog withstand an explosion? I haven't. So it's going to be straight in, take the spinner with the wedge, throw it out the arena, bish bash bosh, boom goes the dynamite.
I am the great mighty Gumdrops, and I'm going to throw more robots at you.
Or is that what Dynamite wants to do?
Well, if it's design we're looking for, Gumdrops is gonna give episode 2 plenty of potential for us here, but on a serious note, it is seen as a bit of a dark horse for this tournament. It's had a good amount of success in the build-up to this season, so we'll see if it's all talk here or not against Dynamite.
Dynamite itself, a little bit of a sleeper hit in the previous season. They did make it to the round of 32 before they lost to another flipper in Tracker, but they definitely got some upsets along the way, I would say, and if they can win this one, it might just be another. Someday we'll give Dynamite a match where it's actually favoured to win.
It's not doing too bad here so far though, and Gumdrops is flying for most of this opening 50 seconds, and it is again there! And now onto the grinder and back down again, but Dynamite trying to follow through on that good period of action again. And then again, Gumdrops can't seem to get a pure hit in, it just keeps knocking itself upwards from that Dynamite front wedge.
Yeah, we haven't really tested the defensive capabilities of Dynamite thus far, but it really has shown to be quite the durable little thing, and Team Frogs Are Cool may need to step up the driving a little bit. Well, they have. They've clipped that side corner, and that is genuine damage coming off of that froggy spinner.
Most of the opening 1 minute 30 was going completely to plan for Dynamite, but look at it all of a sudden now. 2 big impacts from Gumdrops, and this fight has completely turned. Just that left front corner remains now for Dynamite, and the defensive capabilities that look oh so solid are now chipping and falling to pieces.
Yes, and even if they can slot that tiny little corner underneath, what's that gonna do on top? There was a flipper there at one point, a 4-bar flipper at that, but it's those 4 bars which aren't coming in to help them now. Well, Gumdrops has thrown its robots about. No final hits, they're just going to wave goodbye to this one. 3, 2, 1, one last little hit. And because of that...
He starts the count out, of course, though. You never know, is Gumdrops now going to just drive in the pit in the next 1 second, though?
They could drive over the floor flipper, well... well, now we know what may have happened if they did something ridiculous. Well done to Gumdrops. It was certainly going marvellously for Dynamite in the opening stages, I have to admit. Based on the opening 30 seconds, I thought this one was all sewn up. Especially that flip from behind was just brilliant. But ultimately, Gumdrops held firm, and that crash was the decider. Once the flipper was gone from Dynamite, that really sold the end of the story. Well done to Gumdrops.
And it seems that Dynamite's had a damp view today because Gumdrops just tore it apart and moves on to 1-0. Moving on to the second fight of the night, we have a beautifully thematic matchup. But who am I cheering for? I gotta go with my old favourite. It has to be Firewave for me. It's always been an absolute monster when it's worked in these tournaments. It's shown so much potential, but Mystic's machine has never made it past the round of 16. But I think this is the year where it could. Once again redesigned. It is actually returning to the tri-bar design that we saw back in Season 2. And it's Firewave. It's always shown that it can do so much. I think Glacier is going to be melted by this thing.
Now, while Glacier did fall in the round of 32 after beating Wave Ripper, it was 2 to a match against the Season 1 champion Sparks, which is never an opponent to be ashamed of losing to. Now, unlike the first 3 seasons, Jason KH has only made a few small upgrades, but this to me might be the smart decision here. Making a complete redesign can be a gamble, as you might make changes that could be a complete disaster. It's gonna be very close indeed, but I gotta say, I think Glacier is onto a winner here.
Well, Firewave, a staple of BashBots, you know it, you love it. It's never made it past the round of 16, but for the time being, it needs to do a quite bit more to get into that round of 16 in this new format.
Away we go. Well, 2 machines that have never ever truly had a deep run into the competition, but when they are on their day, it feels like they could deliver good things, and that's a good early start here from Firewave.
Certainly adding more fire than we've ever seen before. Does it serve any practical purpose to exhaust fire out of the backside like that? I'm not sure. They've packed it in for a small amount of time. Glacier is driving like it is on ice. We're on a straight line, fellas.
Very interesting stuff so far. The thing is, I am worried if Firewave eventually does catch fire, what it's going to look like. The whole arena could catch fire. And at the moment, visually it seems under control, and then it doesn't hit the arena floor with its own weaponry, because of course it does.
Glacier itself kind of melting under pressure. This could be the first proper attack from it, but they fired the flipper too late, and that was in the end more Firewave's attack than it was Glacier's.
Glacier has had 1 or 2 mild opportunities so far, but as you said, hasn't quite been able to get a proper thrust in, and again Firewave ends up getting a clip in more than Glacier does there. 1 minute 40 to play, definitely still in the balance here. Oh!
Everyone wants a piece of the kill source, meanwhile.
Again, it's Firewave holding the arena centre. It's been stable for the most part here, and again clipping away at the top, but Glacier has scooped it again! Oh, but again, I think Firewave actually clipped the arena floor there and pulled it away from Glacier, but now it is overturned anyway. Could be further danger here, with Firewave's weapons stalled for the time being.
Yeah, they've always been reliable for self-righting. It's not an obvious component of Firewave's design, but it definitely is there for the situations where they need it. Glacier, we've finally seen some properly good flips, but we might not see any more, because that's the weapon, I think, gone right there.
It is, and Firewave has slowly but surely totted up enough hits over the course of this fight to deliver what could be the decisive strike here. Has Glacier got anything in the low closing 40? Coming with a good slam there. But what else can it provide? Because that alone surely will not be enough.
I only wonder if, although the flipper panel has been removed, maybe the pneumatic ram beneath it might still be able to fire into the base plate of Firewave. I imagine the weapon has just been broken during the tearing process, but they could try it in the next 13 seconds, but they're just taking more damage.
10 to play. Firewave has had a bit of a worrying period, but is now closing out the fight, which surely should be it. Oh!
You're gonna try and self-right? Go on, prove the theory. Prove it. No. Okay. Well, so it will still go to a judge's decision that KO on Glacier was just out of time. The first fight for the brand new Firewave. This is perhaps the most dramatic redesign it's ever had, but always it had moments of being in danger and it just skirted away with them relatively scot-free before Glacier was able to do anything truly meaningful. Certainly Firewave did meaningful act with that spinner.
The results from the judges are in. We have a split decision. The winner is Glacier!
And winning by judges' decision, Glacier has beaten Firewave and has got its first win of the season. Firewave, meanwhile, will need to try and make up for it in its next match. Next up is Sparks versus Twinzer. And listen, I don't think you can disagree with me on this one. This is obviously Sparks' match to win. Sparks, the Season 1 champion. It's an incredible robot, as we've seen time and time again. Heck, it even made it to the third place playoff last season, and not only that, but the bar has been redesigned. Instead of dealing just a few big hits throughout the match, it's now going to be doing a lot of smaller hits, leading to a lot more cumulative damage throughout the fight. Jagantag has always had a real contender here, and maybe with this upgrade, they will be on the path to becoming a Season 4 champion.
Something I love in this sport is that the upset is never impossible. I mean, after all, just simply cast your minds back to when Sparks lost the Crow Monster back in Season 2. And I think Twinzer, while it might not win in the same way, I think Twinzer does have a way it could win. For instance, while it wasn't able to get into the main tournament last season, they lost in the pre-tournament qualifiers, that does mean that it's an unknown quantity. No one really knows what it's capable of in the BashBots arena, and also when you add the fact that Sky has completely redesigned the robot from the ground up, it's been heavily upgraded, he has so much confidence behind it, I think it's not impossible at all that Twinzer can take this fight.
That is probably the best argument someone could give to a robot going up against Sparks. So you know what? I'm excited to see this, so I want to just get down to the arena and watch this fight unfold.
I'm happy to see you setting me up like sparks. You ignite all the colors inside my heart. Unless you're Twinzer, anyway.
Yeah, as you could tell with that pre-battle build-up, Twinzer might be up against it a little bit here. The block's relatively boisterous, and Sparks gets a couple of clips of its own in, with the builder of Sparks saying that it's more designed for consistent, smaller jabs this season rather than explosive hits than we've seen from it in the past, but sure to be as destructive as ever, I'm sure.
Twinzer spinners, they're designed to, well, do something. It remains to be seen quite how they will impact the opponent, but as they go headfirst into Sparks' bar, I'm frankly surprised they're still spinning.
Yeah, they're genuinely not doing bad at all so far here. They've shot Sparks up once or twice. They haven't exactly got in damaging hits of their own, but in terms of dictating the pace of the fight, Sparks hasn't been able to get ahead of steam yet.
That was the first sense of danger we got on Twinzer's wheels, nearly landing right onto Sparks' bar, just scraping away with it, but it has to be said, the wedge is doing a great job on Twinzer, and the discs are still adding up points. They're keeping the damage as even as they can. Is this going a different way to what we expected? I don't want to go too early on this, but...
well, maybe that pre-battle singer-song you had has ended up inspiring Twinzer to the impossible here. Who knows?
You're really not a fan of cover drive, are they? But the pit will be opening again. That's something that speaks more in the favour of Twinzer than it does in the favour of Sparks, I will admit.
Sparks really is struggling to make any sort of impact of note here. It's obviously clipping away, and you never know what that could lead up to. We know in BashBots that it can lead to one massive blow, just chipping away the whole fight, but Twinzer really is just chugging along here, doing its best it can, and Sparks has been flipped now and has also lost a wheel bracket as well, as you can see from it being overturned.
And it's that visible damage that's going to leave the most of a mark on a judge's decision. I would encourage Twinzer really to go for the pit if they want to secure this and put it beyond doubt, because Sparks has in its time won a couple of judges' decisions quite unexpectedly. The damage really does add up when you're fighting this opponent, but have to be saying, in the last 30 seconds, they may still be holding a little bit of a lead here.
This is very good. Oh! Very, very pensive, but there we go. Finally a massive, massive hit. It's taken 2 minutes 40 of this fight to deliver it. But is Sparks now doing enough here to avoid a very, very early upset in Season 4 of BashBots?
Oh, you know what? It really does seem clear. There's a loose wheel on the arena floor as well. Trying to split Twinser in two, turn it into a Nintendo Switch, I think. Well,
switch up in that fight, all right. Oh my god.
Well, let's reminisce here on the perhaps 5/6 of the match where Twinser was winning this one, arguably. I mean, you never quite know with Sparks. Perhaps they were on top regardless, but these were great little hits using that wedge until they couldn't, and then they really had nothing left.
We have a judge's decision. The judges have come to a split decision. And the winner is Sparks!
And winning by judge's decision, Sparks has gotten its first win of the season. Twinser did the best it could, but it's going to have to make up for it in its later fights.
Moving on to fight number 4, we have a fight that has the potential to be out of this world. Cosmo versus Starfire. And Cosmo, right? Well, it's not bad anymore. It's the reigning runner-up, and you don't go that far without being at least a bit good, right? It is relatively unchanged from previous seasons, yes, but I don't think it really needs to be changed internally that much at all anyway. It's still the robot that got constant out of the arena max on just about anything that stood in its way last year, and again finished second. Yes, Business Cat is a bit worried, but really, who isn't worried for any fight once you become a really good fighter?
If you were a salesperson, I'd have shut your door in your face the moment you said, it's not bad anymore. And honestly, while you are correct there, I think that this match is going to go to Starfire. While this is an unproven commodity as the builder last built Angel Dust, which didn't even make it into the competition, I think that this is a robot with a lot of potential behind it. Cosmo had a great run last season, but Business Cat is worried that Starfire could take out the weapon support, and if that should happen, I don't think Cosmo's going to have much of an answer for Starfire here. It's going to be close, but I think Starfire is going to prove itself here tonight.
Well, we have Cosmo, our defending runner-up from the previous season, and we have Starfire, a robot which did not qualify for the previous season, but you never know.
Well, I mean, after the last fight we saw, I would have thought a pre-match toast sing-along would have been able to maybe inspire the non-qualifier from last season here again, but Cosmo is normally the type to take away any sort of hope in the world, as it takes away a Starfire wheel already.
Yes, if you'd like to introduce me to any songs called Cosmo in the future, I'd be glad to oblige, but until then I think it's walked away with a cheeky win already here.
Yeah, I mean, I would load up Google right now, but I think by the time I'm done with my search, Starfire might be well and truly done here, because there goes another panel, there goes it flying and flipping over, and Cosmo is being as ruthlessly blunt as it normally is, to be honest. It has been knocked over once or twice, but there we go, back over.
Yeah, well, this is the first televised fight for Starfire and its team. They entered in the previous season with Angel Dust, but they'll be looking to get the most out of that screen time just by surviving here. I think they basically need to try and disable the Cosmo spinner and knock it over or something. Otherwise, well, we're going to see the end of the fight, which we quite promptly have. Not a bad effort from Starfire, arguably, maybe.
I like the paint job. You know, neon and black. It's half decent. Cosmo's through.
Makes a decent little corpse in the corner there. Cosmo does indeed win. So now if you've got any sing-alongs, maybe now's the time here with Cosmo tearing the wheel right off. And it won't be lasting much longer. We are probably going to see plenty more Cosmo fights in this season. This was just the first of them, and it went just about exactly how you would expect. Well done to them. See you again soon.
Cosmo wins, moving to 1-0, while Starfire has to make up this loss as it shuffles down to 0-1.
Before the main event tonight, we're going to give you an update on some of the other fights in the tournament. First up, Nathan Silver and Vertically Unchallenged return to the arena with a fresh look, taking on Hobo Drew with the first ever forklift in BashBots, El Montecargas. Unfortunately for the vertical spinner, their untested weapon was not able to reach full speed and the forklift capitalized, managing to get Vertically Unchallenged over the wall and out of the arena.
After that, our two-time runner-up Boast returned to the arena with a rebuilt Tranquilizer, taking on Orc's Hammerbot, Warbos. The Dustpan proved to be very effective on the Hammerbot, but the damage racked up over the fight and Tranquilizer took a unanimous decision.
The third fight saw two more returning robots face off as Tankoff and Ryu Kishin battled it out. Unfortunately for Tankoff, their new design didn't seem to have enough torque to self-right, and they had to be saved multiple times by the lifter. Tyrus eventually backed off, leaving Famo's robot to be counted out with just seconds remaining in the fight.
And finally, it was a match between Jodu's next car-themed robot, Rage Against the Fridge, and the rookie Marrow's grappler robot, Calcifer. Calcifer proved to have the lower wedge, pushing the flipper around with ease, but it all ultimately led to nothing when Jodu got that one good flip he needed to position him properly, and just like that, Calcifer was flipped out. But that's enough talking about the highlights. Let's get back to the action! And speaking of the main event, how we got a great one lined up for you tonight. Two of the bluest flippers in BashBots that reached the round of 16 last time. It's like I'm seeing double. We have Claymore versus Tracker. My pick for this fight though is Claymore. Now, reaching the round of 16, that is quite impressive, especially in a tournament as amazing as BashBots. However, it's performed consistently well outside of BashBots. This robot certainly has the experience, and we saw just how well it drives and just how quickly it can get out of the arena flips. The drive is more powerful, it looks prettier, which we all know is far more important. I think Claymore just has all the tools it needs to take out Tracker and win the fight.
Now, Tracker is largely unchanged from last season except for, wait for it, drive upgrades. And it also went out in the round of 16, losing to Amber last season. Now, saying that, Tracker is a collaboration build between George the Jedi and Sploodle, who is from Team Amber, and I feel like that means that Tracker has just as much chance of winning as Claymore. I think regardless, I don't think the result for this match is going to come out of the blue.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the main event! Let's bring out the bots! In the red square, from the United Kingdom, it's the only robot that its builder can and ever will build, it's Claymore! In the blue square, from the US, it's also the only robot that its builder can and ever will build, it's Tracker!
So I'm glad to be back, first of all, and second of all, I'm expecting this fight to be pretty difficult. I know that my opponent has probably one of the lowest wedges in the competition, so I'm going to have to try and probe for gaps in the ground clearance, try and avoid going head on, and line up the U-turn and hopefully get him out. But it's going to be difficult. It's a good machine. It can just as easily flip me out, so just have to be really on it in terms of driving and hopefully take advantage.
There's a light in the distance. See them coming closer with the force of ages. Centuries gone by. Oh, hey. Are we live? Oh crap, we're live. My opponent is Claymore, and I am super scared. His wedge is really good, so my strategy will be to try and flip him over, and if I can get him over, keep attacking him while he's self-riding to control the fight. If I can't do that, I think Claymore's got the win.
Well, this time the sing-along comes not from me, but from George the Jedi of Tracker. This is a great little main event, though. 2 flippers which did well in the previous season, but very under the radar. Now they get the full spotlight.
Here we go.
Well, a main event for the purists here. It's going to be all about control, all about clever attacks between these 2 very clever machines, Claymore and Tracker. And it could be one that goes right down to the wire.
And right down to the ground clearance especially. It looks as though Tracker has the advantage in that department. They're getting underneath the front of Claymore on 2 occasions, but now getting thrown into the grinder, taking some early damage.
Tracker trying to find the space to self-right, and does, and in the process it's Claymore that gets shot up into the air. It will be hoping to be shot to stardom if it can go on and win this fight, but it's been flipped again here by Tracker.
Yep, I think that's the definitive proof. Once you've lost that clearance war 3 times in a row, it just is quite apparent that Tracker is lower on that department, but they snuck around the flipper to get just under the grey wedgelet, so that is a good head-on attack from Claymore. They may want to try and get to those other angles, if at all possible. It's always easier said than done. They just don't go for the front. Yeah, but the front's being pointed at you. It's not the easiest thing to avoid when the opponent's actively trying to attack you. But the spikes will provide a way to find an opening, and Claymore is keeping Tracker on its back for as long as it can.
My hands are literally twitching right now.
So in terms of this tag team Terraden, it's clear that the floor flipper is on Tracker's side, the arena spike is on Claymore's side. Will one of those 2 end up being pivotal here? Because so far between the machines, we haven't had a moment of decision yet.
If I were one of these machines, I know which hazard I'd want to be making friends with, and that is the arena wall. We'll see if they are in danger of getting thrown over it, but right now they're just centering around our BashBots logo in the center there, clearly very worried of who is a better friend with the wall. They're both known for getting surprise out of the arena flips in their previous campaigns, and here we are. We've built it up enough and they've run away from it.
Saw blades there getting into the action as well. They wanted a piece of it all. With a minute to play, it's really tense and tetchy. It's Claymore continuously trying to skirt to the side angles, but in the process, if it skirts too far, Tracker can get in the flip of his own, but not there, as Claymore got him behind. And then a responsive flip as well from Tracker.
Yep, I think if you're judging this fight, Claymore is winning this one on control, in my opinion. We know that Tracker has the lower wedge, but they can't stay in the arena with it. A brilliant out-of-nowhere flip from Claymore takes this main event, and deservedly so.
I just knocked the f***ing cup of tea over as well. Well, it didn't have anything in it.
They had to really look for those openings, but as the match carried on, they kept finding them. And Tracker, all they really needed to do was go head-on and flip, but it wasn't good enough. And eventually Claymore has decided this one with its own out-of-the-arena flip. We'll see how we got there, of course. The highlights showing all of the good flips that Claymore got in the meantime. Every single one of those took some real effort from Claymore to get in, and big respect to them for finding them. Tracker had perhaps bigger flips, but it's not the one in the arena, is it? Look at that spinning flip. Absolute precision, a perfect knockout from Claymore, who will be looking to make a great run this season.
That brings tonight to an end. 5 more robots have started off their season with a bang, and the other 5 have been left scratching their heads. With that excellent display of driving from Claymore, do you think they could be one of the bots to beat this season?
Well, I think that based on what we saw from them last season, and also based on what we saw tonight, yeah, I'd say Claymore is definitely one of the favourites right now.
No question about it. Remember, after all, they won both of their first 2 fights last year by out of the arena the same as tonight, before bowing out against Atlas in the round of 16. So, if we take a step back and look at the whole night, we saw some huge wins across the board. Did anybody stand out to you tonight?
Well, there are a lot of standout performances tonight. Despite their loss, I think Twins have put up an absolutely fantastic fight against Sparks. They showed that they really have what it takes, so I guess I'm hoping we can see them perform like that later on in the season.
Oh, absolutely, and of course we also saw wins for Gumdrops, Glacier and Cosmo absolutely dismantling Starfire in their fight. Join us next time as more of your favourites return and we start to bring rumbles into the equation. From all of us here at BashBots, we thank you so much for watching and we hope you enjoyed the show. See you next time, but until then, good night.